Well, I just wish you a very good finance meeting.
Thank you.
I'm going to be at least in retreat now. I run away from finance like I was mortgage with
Right.
Off you go. I'll put that there.
You've started, have you?
Yeah.
You've started. Right. Okay. I declare the meeting open at 7:32 and welcome everybody to the Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting of the 13th of June. First item on the agenda is apologies for absence.
There aren't any.
No absences. Councillor Chesser is not on this committee then, no?
No, no. She's not.
Okay. So we've no apologies to accept. Okay. Declarations of interest. To receive and consider any declarations of interest from members and officers under Section 50 of the Local Government Act 2000, Standing Order 35. This requirement applies only in respect of matters which are to be considered by the Council at this meeting. That is to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests. Anybody?
Nope.
No?
No.
To declare any other interests?
Nope.
No? Representations from interested parties?
No, I haven't got any.
Nothing received, Clerk? Consideration of requests from interested parties, we don't need to worry with that. Minutes of the previous meetings of the Finance and General Purposes. Proposition to approve and sign the minutes of the Finance and General Purpose Committee meeting held on the 11th of April as an accurate record, Standing Order 10C. You've got in your pack the minutes of that last meeting. Those
I
who
wasn't
were
there,
there.
so I can't comment.
I was there, and as far as I can recollect, it looks like a true record, so I'm happy to propose. Proposed by Councillor Chappell.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Glenn. All those in favour of those who were there? Yep. 3 years. Before we move on to financial matters,
Oh,
did
would
we
you like
have
to sign?
to
Sorry. Can you sign?
sign them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a pen. Lovely. Pass those back to the clerk. Do we have to appoint a head of finance tonight?
Yes.
So should that be the next item of business?
You could do that, yeah. You can do that now if you, yeah.
Do I have any propositions for head of finance? Councillor Glenn, willing to be head? Councillor
I'm
Glenn.
willing to be head, yeah. Oh,
Councillor-
good.
I'll second that.
So it's proposed by Councillor Chappell, seconded Councillor Peel. All those in favour?
You got it, Mel.
I now
Thank you.
declare Councillor Glenn duly elected. In which case, Councillor Glenn, I'll hand over to you, if I may, for the first item to receive the balance sheet and income and expenditure report up to the 30th of April 2017.
Right, okay. Well, you've got it in your pack. It's been... We've got 2 months, April and May. There's certain aspects which I'd like to bring to your attention. Firstly, the staff salaries are in there, under administration. I think you should have put those in just as a group figure, so people can't identify who's earning what.
But it's okay for councillors
As
to...
long as it's not going to publication.
No, no, it won't do. This is
Okay.
for...
All right. Right, okay. Do you want to go through this?
Yeah, you got to go through it
Okay,
where you feel is appropriate.
all right. Fixed assets, 2.5 million, basically. Current assets, 476,000. That includes, well, that's trade debtors and hub, so on. Current liabilities, 25,000, 26,000. Gives us a net total assets less current liabilities of 3 million. Now, in the income account, we've had income of 234,831.70, but that includes the precept, or 6-monthly precept. So if you take that out of it, it's about £37,000. Expenditure, 38,000. So we've got a net profit and loss, but that really is meaningless because of the precept. All right. I noticed that in the last meeting we're supposed to bring out the hub costs as a separate item in the accounts.
We haven't done that at the moment because we are totally in process of transferring the Sage, of which I'll be talking about later. So,
But we've identified the costs. We've got
Yeah.
you know, we've got the wet and dry costs, and we've got the cost of the staff in there and so on. I would have thought it could be done now.
well, basically what I've done, what I had to do, because also Paul's on holiday, is literally take our income and expenditure budget and just use what I'd got. I haven't had time to do anything else.
Okay. So you just followed last. All right. Any questions on that?
No.
Observations?
Can I say, I think some of the, I realise you've got to group things together. You can't have a single line for everything because there would just be so many lines to the income and expenditure, especially expenditure. They've got to be grouped together. But some of the groupings, I think we might need to talk about how they
That's what we're going to look at.
regrouped. Yeah.
That's what we're going to be doing when we go through the nominal codes.
Right.
Okay. Well, when we talk about transferring Sage, I think we ought to mention that because I think it
Yeah.
should be reviewed with us as well.
Yeah, well, I've already spoken to Roy about it,
Okay.
and he's going to be coming to a meeting with myself and Paul when we're going through it.
Okay. Looking at the balance sheet on for the May account, I noticed we got a huge amount in the suspense account. Well, we all know what that's for. All right. Sorry, I've been tapped.
Yes, that is something that we haven't dealt with yet, so we've stuck it into suspense. It's a number of items
Yeah,
that
okay.
we are looking at, and we haven't found the appropriate place for those to be yet.
I have a query on the fixed asset sheets, Ella. I want to know how this 89,000 of other assets is derived. 89,264. I can see the other ones. We got buildings, just over 2 billion. That's the same as this.
I'd have to speak to Paul.
We've got £30,000 worth of apparently market licence. What does that mean, £30,000 for market licence?
That's the licences for our market.
That's what it costs.
Yeah.
Blimey. And it says 5+ years. Does that mean it's renewed every year or what? It's not
That means it's been going on for more than
5
5
years.
years.
Okay.
Sorry, we look. Where are we at the moment?
sorry, balance sheet.
Right, okay.
52,000, and I'm comparing it with the asset register.
Right, okay, I see.
So page 1 of the asset register and the balance sheet for May. The building's the same. The community assets are the same. The market licence is the same. The open spaces is the same. But what I can't understand is where this 89,000 figure comes from, because you add up the others, which are the missing ones, and it comes to 105,000.
There are some other ones that have been. This is an updated version of the fixed asset that I would prefer to talk about later, and it's not included in this at the moment. This is something that I've worked on.
So you're saying there's some variation between this
Yes.
and that?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. The other thing I wanted to ask was that a lot of these equipment, 5+ years old, it seems to be in at the original value.
That's what we have to do. We have to leave things at the original value.
Don't you write off like in any other business?
No, we have to put the original figure for our audits, for the external, we have to put the original figure. We don't
Right.
use depreciation, we don't put how much it would cost to replace. That's how we have to report our fixed assets.
So a £1,000 Dell laptop that's over 5 years old is still is still valued at £1,000. That's crazy. Anyway, that's what you have to do. All right, any other comment on this?
No.
So receive the balance sheet and income expenditure report. Oh, the internal audit report. Have you got that there, Roy?
I've got the internal audit, yes.
Do you mind taking that over, because you're a bit more involved with it than I have been?
Yes, I was present for this internal audit along with the clerk and the finance officer when the NCALC auditor, John Marshall, came to visit. He began by going through the additional audit, the interim audit that we had done in December, and was really following on to see where we were from that audit, and whether some of those items had subsequently been dealt with. And we have in fact dealt with a number of items there. And he then went on to look at the current state of one or two accounts within the council's accounts. He looked at one or two specific items, he asked for specific records to be brought to him, went through those and was happy that they were done. He also completed a checklist of making sure that we had followed necessary procedures in terms of things like handling cash and a variety of other things. I think there was one item where he ticked everything as correct, as yes, he was satisfied, but there was one item that he put, but see my report, where he wanted to make further comment. Clark, do you have anything further to?
It's part of the annual return, part of the tick boxes, and he was concerned that we were still not sort of fulfilling and following our financial regulations. However, in the end, he decided to tick box yes, but has highlighted the fact that we will be obviously sending the internal audit report to BDO, so they will read it and they may come back with some questions.
Right. And then the last page of his report are the figures submitted in the annual return. Now, most of those are fairly standard, fairly straightforward. I mean, the balance brought forward each year is the balance carried forward from the previous year. The annual precept is the figure that we've agreed when we prepared our budgets. So you've got there, you're showing last year's and the year before. We're showing the total of any other receipts we had, and staffing costs shown as a gross staffing cost with all its attendant on costs. Then we've got the loan interest and capital repayments figures, which is predominantly the Public Works Loan Board repayments that we've made during the year. And that gives us the balance to carry forward to the next period. The total cash and investments is straight from our balance sheet at the end of each year, and as is the total fixed assets and our total borrowings. Again, that's straight from the balance sheet. So the majority of those figures fairly straightforward. Income and expenditure are the only areas really where we would need to do any close examination of, you know, how we perform. Most of those figures have come straight from the accounts from one year to the next.
On all of those figures, anything that's more than a 10% variance, we have to explain to the external auditors.
Yes.
And we've got that already now. That's all ready to go.
Right. I can't off the top of my head recall which ones we picked up at the audit. Can you recall which ones were more than 10%?
Well, if you just compare the two figures, yes, between this year and last year, you'll see anything that like balances brought forward. That's a massive difference. We're going to have to explain that. Annual precept, 36. That's more than 10%. Total of the receipts, or nearly all of those figures, we're going to have to explain.
Right,
and,
most of them we're going to
show
have to
where
explain.
the difference adds
Right. Yes, we will, won't we? Yes. Okay, thanks very much. So that, I think, is the audit. Whether anybody's got any questions on the internal audit report?
Of course, there's actually quite a lot of, in that narrative section,
Yes.
that almost looks as if Mr Marshall is posing one or two sort of ongoing questions to us, or certainly inviting us to consider his comments, which we should note. It seems to me there are two or three things that arise out of that. One is that, for reasons that are well known, we tried to obtain a form of audit to answer a number of questions.
Yes.
Essentially, the point being made is that the internal audit process is not the process to address some of the issues that we had hoped that could be addressed. So the question is going to arise as to whether at this juncture we look for another way of trying to achieve the same thing, or whether we don't, frankly. I am not sure where we would go about trying to source an independent inquiry into those issues. What, frankly, the costs and implications of it are, but it's certainly something that we ought, it seems to me, to consider. I guess the other point, which doubtless the clerk will address, is that John Marshall is no longer going to continue as our internal auditor.
No.
As far as I can recollect, however, all this will mean in practice is that we'll get a new internal auditor through the same systems we've always had. It's not like the whole system is going to require us to look afresh and replace. So it really is just this issue of what we were seeking to do in December, which is now 6 months ago.
Yes.
Whether we still want to do that.
Yeah.
Does it serve any purpose now? Sorry.
I was waiting for the chairman.
Sorry, yes, so was I. Let's see.
I have to say, to be honest, after all the hassle we've had over the last I think 6-7 months, I honestly think we should just put it to bed now.
I can't agree.
I don't honestly think raking up all that again is going to do anything but cause problems again.
Charles?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. You know, we don't see any obvious anomalies in the accounts per se for that period. Whether certain things were or were not done incorrectly, whether it's mischievously or otherwise. Yeah, I think we can spend a lot of time and a lot of effort trying to rake it up. The further back in time it gets, the less likely you are to find the level of detail, and we're only going to end up spending money bringing in a forensic account or whatever to do it. So, to me, the focus should be making sure the controls are in place and that we're following all the right procedures going forward.
David, you brought it up. What value do you see in it?
I have to say, I'm inclined to agree that 6 months after we made the decision to do it, X months after the events in question, I do begin to question now whether or not it is going to serve a useful purpose to do what we envisaged then. What we do need to do, and Councillor Best is right, I mean, it's a question of ensuring that our own internal controls are perhaps arguably rather more robust and perhaps rather better scrutinised than maybe we managed before. And I think there are some issues around that. Just looking at the thing in a slightly wider context, I'm conscious of the fact that Parishioner Tony Hoyle started a little email train which was somewhat critical of our suggestion that we would conduct certain kinds of reviews in this committee and in personnel to try to ensure that some of the things that happened previously may not happen again. And they were questioning the need for that to take place in a secretive way and seemed to have got slightly confused, maybe, with the sort of linked issue of standing orders, which is doubtless something we'll talk about in full council later in the month. But we did say that both this committee and personnel would try to see if there are any lessons to be learned, procedures that could be adopted, changed, tightened, whatever. And I think there may be some merit in doing that, but in a sense making this an internal exercise in trying to learn lessons from some of the things that have happened in the past, of which the internal control side is obviously one, but perhaps not the only one.
Can I just add something to that? I think you're dead right there. I think obviously the internal controls are really, really important, and I would suggest that we should be able to, through the chairman of the Finance Committee, look at all financial matters as they're being done in the offices on say a weekly or monthly basis by the chairman, so they can keep abreast of exactly where we are.
I'm very conscious of the fact that Clark is
Can I
frantically
just say, in
waving our
March,
direction.
we did approve a new internal control system, of which we've now appointed somebody who's going to regularly look over the bank statements, checks, things like that. That was something that you didn't have before.
Are you talking about the work I'm going to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
We also adopted at the same time a new financial risk management procedure. So I think, and tonight we're looking at the amendments to the financial regulations. These are the sorts of things. And we're going to be looking at standing orders at the end of the month. That is what you need to have in place. Financial regulations are out of date by 2 years. We're obviously looking at standing orders. So it is happening. We're doing it at the moment. We've been doing it since March.
Okay. But do you think we should have a councillor, stroke chairman of the, or just sitting on the shoulder occasionally just to see?
We have one. We've appointed.
Sue anyway?
Yes,
Yes.
Oh, in that case, that's
I
fine.
have to approve the checks and so on,
Yeah, yeah,
so,
that's okay.
but that's about once a week.
Yeah, in that case, that's fine, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
You can then,
Yeah.
you actually have got an outside independent, if you like, of the staff, it's.
But that is
Totally
what you should have in the
transparent.
financial regulations.
Yeah.
That's what it stipulates. That is what your internal control is.
Councillor Sparks?
Can I point out that the issue that went on for 2 years, commencing in 2014, that commenced under a good council that were, their regulations were up to date at that time, all their procedures were in place, and these events happened despite the fact all the procedures, all the policies were in place. Everything that we're now putting back in place and updating and revising, all of those things were in place then, and it happened. And I don't think necessarily that putting all these things in place is going to stop it happening again.
Boy, if somebody's going to be, how can we say, a little bit shifty, then you're dead right. You know, you can never get rid of it. But, you know, all we can do is to be seen to be doing what's right. I mean, that's all we can do, isn't it? We can only be seen to be doing what's right.
We're following the
Yeah.
processes and things.
And
But they
providing
were
we
back
keep a
then.
lid on it,
Yeah.
you know, and providing we sort of have this, you know, checks, then I don't think there's anything else we can do.
How were they monitoring it back then, Roy?
They had similar processes in place then.
I think there was a situation though, particularly when they were buying things for this building, that things were being bought by councillors.
By
And
councillors?
then councillors were putting in expenses claims, not necessarily having all receipts and everything documented. That's where there was some and, you know,
Yes.
and that is where things like that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Councillors shouldn't be going off buying things. Everything should work through either myself or the staff and come through the office. The minute you've got councillors going off doing different things, that is, and I'm not blaming councillors for this, but that is when I think processes, that's when your leaks start coming in because nobody's keeping a full control.
No, I agree, yeah.
In fact, that's one of the things that, sorry.
I was just going to say that's clearly a lesson that we can learn for sort of future projects, because you're right. I think some of the things that happened around the Fletton House situation, with the benefit of hindsight, and in some cases more knowledge now than I was aware of certain things at the time, should we say, we wouldn't want to repeat. And so when we do things like perhaps the extension to this building or creating the new open space maintenance there, we just need to be more vigilant about ensuring the processes that we already have in place are kept to. I mean, I'm conscious of what Councillor Spark said. The problem, in a sense, is it's all very well saying that. The question is, what more, if anything, can we do? Because I'm not sure I've identified
Well,
what else it is we
as
can
long as we
do.
know that only
Yeah.
money spent by the council is A, approved by committees, and B, is only paid out from the account by, let's say, the clerk or the mayor, we know where everything is, don't we?
If I can just add that the next item, which is a new model financial records, does stipulate that councillors, I think it stipulates, it's an addition there, that councillors can't spend any money themselves, it has to be done by the council.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's what we're saying, you see.
So
The council's
it's
not-
one of the amendments to these.
The only way it can go is actually
Records.
through the council itself.
And then that means that we've always got either a receipt or an invoice
Yes.
against a payment. So when it's the internal control kicks in, we've got everything there.
That's it.
Okay, can we move on to the next item, please? The update of the new model financial records. You wanted more time to consider this, didn't you?
I would like to postpone this until the next Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting and go through it in a lot more detail. I think it's very important that we get this absolutely right and that we look at it in detail before we approve it.
We did go through it in March, and you asked me to come back with 2 questions that you had asked me to find out the answer, which I have done.
Yeah.
So we have already gone through it
Yeah.
in detail. Of which the first question was about the cash handling procedures within the hub,
Yes.
and there has been an item put in to cover that.
Yes.
And then that ties it back to the financial risk management procedures that we also agreed, approved in our, I think was it March, full council meeting. The other item that you asked me to find out about was whether item 14.2, it was asked whether we could amend the figure which was in these model financial regulations was at £250,
Right.
whether we could increase it to 500. I did ask the auditor this, and they said anything that's not in bold you can amend.
Right.
And so he said, yes, that would be fine, you could put it in at £500. But model financial regulations shouldn't be tweaked about too much,
No.
because they are what we should be following.
Mm.
Councillor Sparks?
Well, I still feel I'd like more time to go through them, but it's up to everybody else what they feel. I would like to spend more time going through.
Well, I have no objection, if that's what you want to do.
If we were to go through it, when are we next scheduled to meet? When do we actually get a second crack at it? So I haven't remembered the date off the top of my head, but presumably it's, see, if it's 2 months, it will be August, but we probably haven't got a meeting in August, so does that mean that we've got one until September?
I think there is one in July, I can't think. Let's have a look. I mean, my concerns are, at the minute, we have financial regulations that are 2 years out of date.
Mm.
We have an external audit that we're going to be sending off at the end of this month.
Mm.
If they do start questioning things,
Yeah.
I would sooner have an up-to-date document that we may look at again in a few months' time.
Yes, well, that was
Review.
just the thought that was occurring to me. There's nothing to stop us, I suppose, adopting them, but instantly putting it kind of back on the agenda if we decide to tweak them subsequently.
Well, we could do that. I would have thought the auditor would be happy to know that we've received them, we're looking at them, we're giving them due consideration, and you know that we're not just rubber stamping them. We are actually going through looking at them. I would have thought was of more interest to the auditor than just the fact that we rubber stamp these things.
There is that, but if they look back over our minutes over the last few months, they'll say where you were looking at them in March, you're still not, you know.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah. But in view of everything that we've been through, I would like to be absolutely clear on these. These are absolutely vital to us. I think. I mean, it's just me. I mean, the rest of you.
what sort of
got an
things would
opinion?
you think to change when?
I mean, I suppose the other possibility is just to sort of cut across it would be this. If Councillor Sparks feels that a little bit more time is required, but there might be a bit of a gap to our next scheduled meeting, there's nothing actually to stop us trying to slot in a meeting where we literally just look at this, and if that buys us another 2 or 3 weeks or something, maybe that's sufficient. Maybe that's the answer, then everybody's
Could be
happy.
the right compromise.
Is there any chance, when do we have to send this stuff off for audit?
It needs probably the 30th of June. I worked out. It has to be in by about the 3rd of July.
Really
I think
tight to get
30th
a
is-
meeting
No time.
between now and then, but would it be possible?
Well, you know, if the rest of you are happy, then fine. But you know,
I can see where you're coming from, because
Yeah.
of what's happened.
Yeah.
I think you're just trying to dot every I and cross every T, and I understand
Yeah.
exactly where you're coming
yeah,
from.
going
So
extremely
if you want that extra 2 weeks, I think we should let you have it. You know, just so that you are, you know, your mind is at peace with it, because otherwise it's going to rattle in your brain for the next 12 months.
Well, it is, but I mean, if the rest of you have looked at it, considered it, and you're all happy, then, you know, I'm only one member of the committee.
I haven't looked through them in detail, I confess.
What about, I mean, if it goes, well, it's got to go to full council anyway for approval, it can't be approved here. What about if you just have a few more days and we have it on Tuesday?
Yes, if I can get to work on it these next few days and go through in detail, that may cover it, but that's...
Well, we've still got the option, I suppose, of deciding to defer it in full council, but we've also got the option, if we then feel happier, to actually get it done, and that does at least get it in before the end
Well,
of
we
the month.
ratify it,
Yeah.
can't we?
Yeah. Maybe that is the answer then.
The next finance meeting's in September,
That's far too long.
because the next one is personnel, but you could always, I don't know, if you don't want to have, if we haven't really got anything personnel related next month, I don't know, you could always swap and have
I mean, I
a
fully
finance
accept
meeting.
we need this in place. It's essential and we need it in place. I just wanted to make absolutely certain that we've got these things right. If we're going to have these things, I don't just want them to be a rubber stamp job. Oh yes, we've got them on the shelf. I want to make sure that they are right, they're fit for purpose, they're exactly fit for purpose, and that we are implementing every bit of them. I mean, it's no good having them and say, well, yes, but we ignore half of it because it's not practical. You know, we need to be absolutely certain that if we're adopting this, that we adopt every bit of it, and this is what we do, and this is the way we work.
Can I propose that we actually put this on the agenda then at the next full council meeting? If we're then happy with it, fine, and if we're not, well, we'll find a way of creating a meeting before September in order to look at it again.
If not, can we review it in September? We can adopt them in the interim.
Well, let's hope on the full council we can actually adopt it then, providing Roy's had time to go through it and just double check it. Because I think I can understand where Roy's coming from because of what happened over the last 12 months. And I think, you know, if we're going to move forward, we've got to move forward with the fact that, as Roy now is the mayor especially, that he's got to be happy with the procedures behind him. And if he's not happy with the procedures behind him, or he's a little bit worried about them, then we have to give them that, you have to have that extra time. It's as simple as that.
Yes.
Good.
Charles.
Adopting them as an interim sounds great. The only difficulty is if we've not gone through them in detail, and there's something in there that isn't practical for us to follow, we've effectively got a set of procedures there that we maybe found in the future we weren't following. So I think we either continue with the out-of-date ones, or we adopt a reviewed set of new ones that we're all happy we can actually comply with. I think it's risky to adopt them if there's something in there that we either doesn't work for us or that we've overlooked and we won't actually be complying with.
I have gone through them,
Okay.
and I have gone through many financial regulations, and I have tied them up to work with our risk assessment and our procedures that we currently have in place. And I don't feel there's anything in there
Okay.
that we shouldn't be following. We should be following it. We weren't following the other ones.
I think the problem is, Emma, is that because of what's happened in the past, I think Roy's just a little bit unsure, and I'd rather give him that extra week or so just to get himself sure, rather than sort of say, yeah, okay, we all agree, but then all of a sudden it's going to be, because Roy basically, with Val, were the two main people over the last 12 months that we've been dealing
And
with.
that
So
you
I think,
didn't have a clerk.
you know, I think if we, but you know what I'm saying, don't
Yeah.
you? You know, that doubt is always sometimes in your head. You know what I mean? So I think, in a way, just giving that extra 7 days or 2 weeks would sort that problem out. And I think that's probably a much better idea than sort of going ahead and then all of a sudden saying, well, hang on, I don't like this.
So is the proposal that we put them on the next full council meeting for adoption? Meanwhile, if anybody, particularly Roy, comes with anything that he feels is not right there, that needs to be ideally revised and changed before that next full council meeting.
I'll try to look at them between now and next Tuesday.
So next
Yeah.
Tuesday,
Yeah,
okay.
it gives me
It
a
gives
week.
us 7 days.
As will I, but I mean, I am conscious of what Emma said. We did actually look at these earlier in the year.
Yes, and we
I
went-
came up with two questions.
Two questions that
have
I
been
then got
answered.
the
The amendments there.
And
I
the reason
Yeah.
I proposed that is on the back of what Emma,
Yeah.
the very valid point Emma just made. She's been through them, even if maybe
No,
all
I
of
mean,
us have not. So.
I remember the.
It's my
when
job.
we went, yes, I mean, I know it's all sorted, but I'm just also conscious of all the mind games, if you like, that we had to go through over the last 12 months.
And I empathise with what you say, but I find it hard to believe there be anything in there which would be in any way contrary to, stopping that.
I don't think there is,
Going
but
forward.
I'd rather give him
Yeah,
an
yeah,
extra
sure.
7
Okay.
days, that's all.
Yep.
Well, some time ago I did make a proposition.
Yeah,
put it
I'd
on
like
the
to
agenda for full
second it.
council. Does somebody want to second that so that we can move on?
Yep, all in
All those
favour.
in favour?
Good.
Right, David.
Next item is to review the fixed asset register, which I started talking about out of turn beforehand.
Right, this was going to wind you up as well.
Yes.
Why does it?
Right,
That's job too.
the last two audits
Yeah.
have come back, and the actions on it are to look at these 2 years, and we haven't.
Okay.
The last year's external audit, they must be reviewed by the end of the financial year. Right, we've missed that. What I want to be able to do is I have to fill out a questionnaire, and on that questionnaire it says, when did you review your fixed asset register?
Yes.
Right, now I have gone through this, not in minute detail, but I have added a lot of the things in the hub that weren't included. There still needs to be work done on it, but what we need to do is we have to have something, a minute, that says we have reviewed these fixed asset register and updated it accordingly.
Well, it sounds that you have done that.
But we haven't
You're
got it.
probably as able to do that as any of us. So, is it not unreasonable to be able to, just minute that yes, you reviewed and updated?
I mean, I am going to go over them in a
That
lot
doesn't mean
more
to say we
detail.
won't review further again in a month or 3 months.
Yeah, but they change.
Given
They,
the look.
yeah.
Yeah, it evolves. It's, it's like we're talking about the neighbourhood plan. These things evolve. It isn't just a stake in time.
Yeah, I mean, every purchase that you make, every item that breaks, it needs to be moving. There will be more work done on it, but I'm just really conscious of the fact that for the last 2 years,
This will be a dynamic document
Yeah,
that will be
yeah.
changing all the
yeah,
time.
it does, it changes.
So is there anything to stop us minuting that, it's been reviewed by Emma, it's been updated?
Yeah. And, I mean, although Councillor Glenn has noticed that there's a couple of discrepancies with the balance sheet on a couple of the
But that's because
asset collections,
this is different to what's on the balance sheet.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So the balance sheet is
but-
the old, or
Yeah.
the old
Yeah.
version.
I mean, I think it's a very, very, very good first stab at it. You'd be surprised to hear I'm actually happy with this.
I mean, I know it's not ideal, but I
No,
want to make
but-
sure that we're ticking some
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah. And
And we're not,
it does that. It gets us
Yeah,
pretty well there, and
So then
it's a
continue.
dynamic document that will always be changing. And I think, I'm relatively happy with it as it stands.
okay.
I make one very, very minor suggestion. Under community assets, which is the second heading down item, for some reason it says skateboard park £50,000. I'm just wondering why the 50,000 follows there. When you go across and it says original value 32,000. Is that 50k in there by?
I don't know,
some
I
error?
need to check that, I don't know what that's there.
It just
I don't
seems
know.
odd because it's the
Yeah.
only one I can see with a figure in that position.
The value is correct, I need to
Yeah.
find, I don't know whether there was going to be provision for more, but it hasn't
It
been
might
added,
be.
I don't know.
That sort of single proviso. I mean, clearly the other thing is that we just have to have this list of things that annually we have to do,
Yeah,
so that we don't do things like missing off the fact that we haven't done it. Because it's
yeah.
very easy to
There is a
skip
list.
by things that are
Yeah.
there, and if this is sort of somehow slipped through the net, then that's unfortunate.
I think last year was obviously very
Well,
difficult.
last year was particularly difficult, so
So I can
if
understand.
it was done in the preceding year, which it probably was, then I can understand why there was a gap
By the time,
last
yeah.
year.
Well, what do we need to have minutes that we've done that we've just, you reviewed it, we've all overseen, we've all had a quick
And
look
we're
at
all
it,
happy
and we're
with
happy
it.
to adopt it as you know, current asset register?
Well, we can't, can we? Because this piece of paper we got in front of us is incorrect according to you.
No, it's not, because it's not incorrect.
Yes,
It's updated.
right.
I know you say the figures aren't adding up, but
Yeah.
what's in these figures? I did this
Yes.
after this
The
was
books for
done.
last year
Okay.
were
I
basically,
haven't
old asset
spoken
register.
to Paul about this. I've done this
Right, okay.
myself because I needed it. I'm on this agenda.
Are you
I
saying
still
the
don't
asset register
understand.
contains items that have become assets since the end of May
But
accounts?
this had nothing on it related to the hub. Everything in the hub was not on this list.
No,
Right.
I can understand
Yeah,
why you've updated it.
You know, there are things, you know, that were just not on this list. I went through all of our list, all of the things that we've bought
yeah.
over the last, I mean, obviously not right down from the last fork or spoon, but had to try and do something because they weren't included.
I'm sorry, I still don't understand why the assets in the balance sheet don't add up to the same as this.
Because Paul did this before he went away on
Yeah.
holiday. I have not been back in and
Okay.
updated the asset list on Sage.
So
What
that-
I've
so
done
that-
is I've taken our Excel spreadsheet,
Right.
gone through it and added everything in.
Okay.
That is why they don't have
So
it.
in fact, the balance sheet may change.
Yes.
Right.
Once these are uploaded.
So in the
onto
next
Sage.
accounts, hopefully it'll be the same.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, just as a matter of sort of presentation, there are two things under the hub where we've indicated that the sort of date of acquisition is unknown and consequently there's a nil value put against them.
Yeah.
As that looks like a slight hostage to fortune, isn't it easier to just omit the items altogether?
Well, I was wondering that. Yeah, I put the toys in there, but and then I thought there was. I think somebody donated them actually. So
Oh, most certainly.
yeah.
I doubt anybody donated a folding two-seater.
Well,
but it's
yeah,
possible.
I'm not sure about that one either. They can just come out. It's just they are items that are down there that are in our possession, but we have no idea of the value.
Can we put a nominal value, £1 each, or just,
Yeah, we could do because we've got that for other
yeah,
items. Yeah, we could do.
So you come to, you've got whatever you need from us to be able to minute that
Yeah,
you've updated
yeah. I
this.
just wanted it on it so that at least somebody had
Okay.
officially looked at it, and then I can then put this minute into the questionnaire that goes back with the
Yeah.
auditors.
And if it needs to be done once in every financial year, would it make sense to do it in the early part of next year? So it's
Yeah, like
every
January,
March
February time. That's when I would normally do it, an
Yeah.
asset register.
So
Leave, yeah,
diary
before-
note forward of six
suits the
months
period before year end,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah, so that it's all updated for the end of March.
Exactly, yeah.
except presumably it's being changed as we acquire things.
There's been a lot, yeah, and I think
So
there'll be a
between-
lot. Yeah, it will change.
Yeah.
It's going to change. I mean, I don't know. The hub is very difficult because obviously you've got all sorts of stuff in there. Cutlery, crockery, broken, replaced, and you're just having to sort of, and this hadn't been updated with anything. I've had to take what we've got, but obviously it'll be it will continue to be a more thorough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
The only thing I might say what's on page one, I can't see where any vehicles are.
Yeah,
They are in there.
If yeah, grounds,
Well, this-
planned equipment, page 2. There are 2 registration numbers there,
What page? Because I can't see.
page 2 of
Page
4.
2. Under plant and equipment.
Just 4 lines from the bottom.
Ah, sorry, yes. I was looking for vans and then
Yes.
thinking about the registration.
Okay. Can we move on, please? Any other comments?
Yeah. Are we adopting this then?
Yes.
Do we have
I'll
a proposer for that?
propose it.
Second. In favour?
Great.
Lovely.
There's a vote if you need it. Just to be sure.
I don't think I've got any other things like this now.
Sorry, Emma, I think you're on stage again now to receive an updated Sage account.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is well, it's okay. We've updated to the new Sage system. Obviously, Blue Moon have to put all of our software onto our computers, and once they've got a Sage specialist at Blue Moon actually, he'd done it. He flagged up a few issues, basically asking us about the brought forward figures, how were we going to put them on, and we just thought, well, they're just going to transfer over, it'd be fine. No, they don't. He said, anything you've got in that brought forward figure, if it relates to more than one invoice, you'll need to separate it all out. You've got to do this, you've got to make sure the VAT is included. Went through a whole list of things. And
Can I ask you a question? Is that because you're separating out different non-dot codes?
No, we're not even on that. This is just transferring the Sage that we've got to the new system.
So we're going from Sage 2014 to
Yeah,
Sage
I mean,
2016.
I've never, for me, it's always any Sage that I've used, you just put your new CD in and it all just...
Because there's dozens of times, well, not dozens of times, several times.
Yeah, I know,
And it was just seamless.
Yeah, this isn't,
So,
for some reason. I don't know whether it's because of the age of the Sage system we were on. Anyway, there's a whole load of, basically, all the brought forward figures are going to have to be put in by hand. The VAT's got to be checked. And we are also still going to want to go through all of the nominal codes, taking out the ones that we're not using, splitting them into a better format than we've got at the moment, and obviously sitting down with Roy and going through. From our point of view, I think I spoke to Paul about this. We feel that it would be better if Blue Moon does the bulk of this work for us, so that we can concentrate on getting the nominal codes right, and it will, hopefully mean that there'll be less chances of there being any errors, and it's going to mean that we haven't got to spend hours and hours and hours transferring everything by hand. They can easily do it. He said it's probably going to take them about a day to do this. I mean, I personally think for our peace of mind, because we possibly wouldn't know until the end of the year if we've got something not quite right.
so can I, make it clear? Can you make it clear to me exactly what Blue Moon are going to be employed to do? They're presumably going to put the software on.
They've done it. So we've got the software on at the moment.
All right.
The issue that
You
we've
want
got...
them to actually put in the figures for
Yeah, the figures are showing there, but what we haven't got is we haven't got our budgets on there, and the brought forward figures aren't that you would have, like anything that you've got, any creditors or debtors that you have at the end of the year, they've all got to be put in manually, and there's quite a bit of stuff. I mean, we spoke to Sage, and they gave us the impression that we could continue putting April and May data in, and it wouldn't have any effect. He has come back and said that you really shouldn't be doing this when you've started putting transactions in, because all the transactions we've put in have all got to be checked.
By?
Well, hopefully by Blue Moon, if you are okay with them to do that.
Have they given us an estimate of what it will cost? Or
Well,
time duration?
it's about £400. He said it's to be about a day.
Right.
So are we putting forward a motion to approve that expenditure? today.
within the limits for
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
meeting
asking if you're
finance
okay with this.
subcommittee, so we can. I'm happy to propose that and get
Okay.
Richard's team in to do that.
Yeah.
Do we need an up to figure in there that, in case it's more than a day or?
I don't know, do you want to do up to 800? I mean, I don't want it to be that much.
No, but I mean, it's better
Yeah.
to do that
I want it to be done properly.
than stop him in the middle because he's
Yeah.
spent 400 and he's got to come back for another day, and we've then got to come back to finance or full, especially if it's September, or full council to say, can we have some more? So I think
Yeah.
it might be as well to go for 2 days at this stage.
Okay.
Especially as it's been tricky. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit disappointed with the information that the support we had from Sage over this, because they made us feel, which I have done upgrades on Sage, and you don't seem to have this issue, but I don't know whether it's because it's so different, you know, they're so far apart.
There are patches and upgrades which, get released regularly, and they should be seamless, but it sounds as if we've moved to a new version of the software.
Well, that's
so,
what I think.
yeah.
We've moved on to
And that's usually because Sage aren't going to support the old version, so you kind of hobs and
I
shows.
think we're only talking about a version that's 2 or 3 years old, which we've been using, so I'd be surprised if they didn't support that.
Well, I don't know
Are we
whether-
paying for Sage support?
Well, we are, yeah. I mean, Blue Moon give the same support, because the other issue we have with Sage, I mean, I know you use Sage, we sit for half an hour on their helpline sometimes, waiting to get through.
Yes. It's
Because,
probably easy to do.
well, and Blue Moon, they're
to
there instantly.
Exactly.
They are more expensive though. I mean, I think they're about £300 or £400 a year more expensive than Sage. But I mean, I don't know when the Sage renewal is up, but it may be worth looking at.
A Blue Moon.
Yeah, see that they might be in it better.
Well, you've got to look back and see how many half an hours you've been sitting on the phone.
Yeah, it's Paul who tends to do it. I don't. But yeah, he sits for hours waiting to get through.
What I'm saying is if Paul's there for an hour at a time, and you say that's for 20 hours in a year, that's probably his wages
Yeah.
sorted out between Blue Moon and Sage, isn't
I think that's part of it, but if he's actually could talk one-to-one to a person at Blue Moon, rather than somebody at the other end of the phone, probably in India or something,
Yeah.
in Sage, and he'll get a better result.
the Blue Moon man will probably come in here.
Well, yeah, that
He
was
won't
the
have to
other
talk
thing.
over the phone, he'll actually be sat at the desk beside him using the same keyboard and screen, so they'll be looking at the same thing and, and working on it together, so that...
Or if not, he can
that's-
probably log into the network directly.
Yeah, we see that's what he was doing. He
Yeah.
was on our computers.
Yeah, there's a big advantage
He
there.
just go straight on it.
Yeah.
it? Okay. So
So,
what do you have rating that?
I would propose then up to £800
Yeah,
for Blue Moon to assist in transfer of data.
Yeah, it gives us a better chance of a clean start, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then in the meantime we can tidy up, get rid of the old customers, suppliers, and then start looking at getting the nominal code sorted.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right.
Is that?
I'll propose that.
Yep.
All in favour? Yep. Okay, do you want me to take over from...
Yes, okay. If I can hand over to Councillor Sparks, please. The next item.
Please note that in view of the special and/or confidential nature of the business about to be transacted, it is advisable in the public interest that the public be temporarily excluded, and they are instructed to withdraw Standing Order 3C. That's a proposal. Second.
Shall we
Those in
the door?
favour? Please, we must close the door. Yeah. Right, we reopen the meeting, and correspondence for action, none. Correspondence for information, none. I declare the meeting closed at 9:08.
And again, Mr. Obviously, I do apologise for having to mention this again. You're not the chairman here.
He's done a very good job.